the 15 biggest transportation operations of all time. Number 15. The largest telescope mirrors. Most people probably assume that super expensive telescope machinery is just built on site in order to avoid the damage which would occur to these pieces during transport. But they're wrong. In fact, due to the specialized nature of these parts, they usually have to be built off-site and then shipped in. This was the case for the mirror array, which is now equipped to the large Synoptic Survey Telescope, whose mirror was originally built at the University of Arizona in Tucson over the course of 7 years. When it was finally completed, the mirror was lowered into a massive 36-ton metal crate for shipping. The shipping, which took place first on a truck and then on a boat, carried it to a mountaintop in Chile. The entire shipping weight for the mirror was 50 tons. Number 14. HARRIET gas turbine. The largest road transportation operation in all of Europe was that of the HARRIET gas turbine, a colossal 300-ton turbine which itself had to be moved on a truck which weighed over 800 tons and contained 360 wheels across its 109-meter length. Special teams had to make modifications to the roadways in France as the turbine was transported, including removing road signs and demolishing medians, which were then rebuilt after the convoy made its way through. During the times when the turbine was moved over bridges, trucks loaded with ballast weight had to move alongside the truck to provide counterbalance. The bridges twisting under the weight was a real concern. Number 13. Bagger 288. The mining operations usually see a lot of massive machinery built to facilitate them. But Bagger 288 has been the stuff of legend on the internet for some time due to its massive appearance. The German-built excavator was the heaviest land vehicle ever built at the time of its construction in 1978, weighing in at a whopping 13,500 tons, or about 27 million pounds. The machine can excavate more than 240,000 tons of overburden, extra material in the way of the good stuff, each and every day. In 2001, it had to be moved to another mine, and this led to one of the largest transportation operations ever. At a cost of more than 15 million German marks, the move required a team of 70 workers and took 3 weeks just to move about 14 miles. Special grass had to be grown over valuable terrain so that Bagger 288 wouldn't damage it. And rivers were traversed by placing large steel pipes in them so that the water could flow through, then placing rocks and gravel on top of the pipes. Number 12. Sea Platform TROLLA. An offshore natural gas platform called Sea Platform TROLLA weighs in at an incredible 1.2 million tons. It is considered to be one of the most complex and largest things ever built by man, and is the tallest object ever to be moved across the surface of the Earth. The platform and its legs together stand more than 1,500 feet tall. To put that into perspective, the Eiffel Tower stands just 984 feet tall. Most of this weight is taken up by the legs of the platform, the vast majority of which are underwater. The platform was towed from the village of Vats to the North Sea, about 50 miles off the coast of Norway, in 1996, with the aid of massive tugboats, and the journey took a total of 7 days to complete. Number 11. U-505 submarine. Built by Nazi Germany during World War II, the U-505 submarine was one of the fearsome fleet of U-boats that terrorized the Atlantic for much of the war. This submarine, which is more than 1,000 feet long and weighs more than 800 tons, was captured in June of 1944. After the war, it was donated to Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry and was transported across the Great Lakes by the Coast Guard. From there, it was stored on Lake Michigan until 2004, when it was decided that it would be transported to an underground, climate-controlled facility to prevent further damage. Though the sub's new home was just 1,000 feet away, the operation to move it took quite a bit of effort. The sub was reinforced and then loaded onto a 26-wheel trailer. Over the course of 3 days, it was moved to its new home and then set on a set of giant wheels, each of which was motorized and movable independently of the other, and then lowered at a rate of 6 feet per hour into a 40-foot deep pit, where it now resides permanently. Number 10. Zhenguang Building. You may have seen pre-manufactured homes moving down the road on the back of large trucks, but have you seen an entire 6-story hotel being moved? That's exactly what Chinese authorities did when they moved the Zhenguang Building. Though the move was only about 120 feet, the engineering effort to get the job done was the stuff of legend. The building weighs approximately 12,000 tons, and it took 18 separate lifting jacks, each capable of lifting 200 tons independently to move the tower. The area of Shanghai in which the building was originally built was going to be remodeled, but the city didn't want to lose the historic Zhenguang Building, which was constructed in 1935. As a result, they decided to move the structure to satisfy both desires. A move on that scale had never been attempted by the city before, and the project took a total of 20 days to complete. Number 9. Space Shuttle Endeavour. Few things symbolize the American dream better than our space program. We literally tell our children reach for the stars when we encourage them to be anything they desire. That's why it was a sad day when the Space Shuttle program shut down. But the last mission of the Endeavour, to move it from Cape Canaveral, Florida to the Samuel Ocean Pavilion at the California Science Center, was an iconic journey. The shuttle was first transported on top of a Boeing 747 from Cape Canaveral to Edwards Air Force Base. From there, the shuttle was flown over many landmarks and onlookers as it made its way to the Los Angeles International Airport. Finally, it was driven through the heart of Los Angeles, guided by a team of over 100 people, including police to control traffic and engineers to take down power lines and traffic lights. Approximately 1.5 million people stood and looked on as the shuttle made its way to its new home. Number 8. Crawler Transport. Speaking of shuttles, the machinery used to transport the shuttles from their hangars to the launch pads are pretty unbelievable. From 1981 to 2011, the crawler transporters each weighed approximately 2,700 tons and had 8 separate tracks and a total of 57 shoes. At the time of their construction, they were the largest self-powered land vehicles in the world. The 2 crawler transporters, named Hans and Franz, were capable of carrying about 18 million pounds each. Although the crawler transporters are no longer in use due to the discontinuation of the shuttle program, they will always have a special place in our hearts as tools for a job of insane proportions. Number 7. Muon G2 Storage Ring. Pretty much everything related to a particle accelerator is bound to be expensive, but you may not realize just how big some of the pieces for these things are. A great example is the 50-foot wide magnet, which needed to be transported more than 3,200 miles to get to its destination. The magnet, which is part of the Muon G2 particle accelerator experiment, took years to design and build, and years more to figure out how to move. The transport was exceedingly difficult because the magnet could not be allowed to bend even 2 millimeters. Such flexing would ruin the precision instrument. The magnet cost a whopping $25 million to build, so the $3 million shipping cost was seen as a minor inconvenience in the grand scheme of things. The bulk of the transport happened by boat, first down the East Coast and then along the Mississippi River. Number 6. SR-71 Blackbird. When constructing an ultra-secret plane which cannot yet be flown, how do you go about transporting it? As it turns out, you do it in a couple very large, very secretive wooden boxes. This is exactly how the government went about transporting the A-12 planes, which were the precursors to the now famous SR-71 Blackbird spy planes. These planes were top secret, so it was imperative that no part of the plane be visible to the public, or the fact that the boxes contained planes even be knowable in any way. The result were huge boxes on the back of flatbed trucks being led via a convoy of law enforcement and government vehicles down the highway. Number 5. U.S. Airways Flight 1549. Most of us probably remember U.S. Airways Flight 1549, if not by name. This was the flight which made a miraculous crash landing in the Hudson River in 2009, drawing attention from everyone in the nation. When the fuselage was recovered from the river after the crash, it was donated to the Carolinas Aviation Museum in Charlotte, North Carolina. To transport the 120-foot fuselage more than 600 miles to its destination, which can weigh up to 91 tons, took a specialized transport truck. The multi-state journey drew thousands of onlookers who crowded along the highways to take pictures of the huge load as it drove past. Number 4. Levitated Mass Exhibit. Modern art exhibits can be a little strange, but the Levitated Mass Exhibit at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art is one of a kind. It is comprised of a 456-foot-long trench, in the center of which sits a 340-ton boulder. The boulder is positioned in such a way that viewers of the exhibit can walk beneath the boulder and observe it suspended above them. Due to the rock's colossal size, a more roundabout route was taken in order to avoid major roadways. This involved traveling more than 106 miles through 22 cities on a specially built 295-foot-long, 196-wheel transport truck. The entire journey took 11 days to complete, and the boulder was delivered on March 10, 2012 at about 4:30 in the morning. Number 3. General Electric Turbine. Transporting something which weighs more than 250,000 pounds is no joke. Add to that the fact that it's a highly delicate steam turbine which cannot be damaged, as well as the fact that its total weight is about 350,000 pounds, and you have a real situation on your hands. This was the case for a GE turbine which was recently shipped just 10 miles down the road from the plant where it was built to Sharon Springs, New York. The transport took more than 8 hours, with the turbine atop a flatbed which was about 20 feet wide and 350 feet long. Number 2. Wind turbine blades. Although this is now becoming a fairly regular process, it's still amazing to watch teams transport the blades for wind turbines. When you see them on the hills in the distance as you drive down the highway, these things might not seem so big. But in reality, each blade can be up to 140 feet long and weigh as much as 10 tons or more. Additionally, the blades must be transported in one piece and cannot be jostled or damaged in any way along the route. Specialized trucks have been developed to handle the task, but it's still very difficult and awkward to get the blades around corners and over rough terrain. Number 1. Bullwinkle Oil Platform. In 1988, the Bullwinkle Oil Platform was fresh out of the factory and was the tallest offshore drilling platform ever built. It stands a momentous 1,615 feet tall and weighs in at 77,000 tons. The jacket alone weighs 39,000 tons. This easily ranks Bullwinkle among the largest objects ever transported on Earth. And the photos of it being towed to its construction site are simply mind-boggling. A special barge had to be constructed just for the purpose of moving the jacket. And then it set sail on a 3-day voyage to deliver it to its drilling area in the Gulf of Mexico.